Good morning. Welcome to Morning Brew with Yes. This is your girl Germaine, and we are so excited about what just happened with our Tuesdays. Yes, our Tuesdays. So, listen, before we bring up our co-host, yes, I said my co-host for everything Tuesday, every Tuesday moving forward. I'm drinking my coffee, and because I've learned how to froth my cream, I tend to do that all the time now, and it's so good. But hey, Michelle Powell, my girlfriend, who we just came back from Italy. But I am so excited about today because today is now considered Pink Battalion Tuesdays. It is the takeover. It has become the command center for, yes, my co-host, Dr. Chevelta Smith. And you know what? I'm going to bring her up and then we're going to talk about how this actually happened. So give me a second. Let me bring Dr. Chevelta Smith on into the conversation with us and we will go from there. Yes, you have taken over Morning Brew Tuesdays.
Oh my goodness. Good morning. It's the takeover.
It's the takeover. So I
I
am so
love it.
excited about this partnership with us coming together,
Yeah.
really allowing Morning Brew where we have coffee and conversations, pouring into purpose. This is so befitting for Morning Brew's format
Yeah.
because you have such a powerful story. And for those that are part of the Morning Brew family, you already know that it is about the power of one story. So we have teamed up together. And I
Yes.
have been so honored to work with you, helping to bring forth your vision about Pink Battalion and the Vet Gala that's going to take place. We say all roads lead to November 7th.
Yes.
But listen, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Chevelta Smith and what is the Pink Battalion all about?
Oh my
Who
goodness.
is Dr. Chevelta Smith? Let's talk about it.
Look, let me ask everybody, are y'all ready?
Y'all ready? I'm telling you, strap in. Get you whatever you're drinking, strap in.
Yes, listen,
This
I
is
have
definitely
mine.
going to be one of those
I have
conversations.
mine right here. Yes. Oh my goodness. So Pink Battalion in general, I would have to probably back up to November the 8th, 2021. 9:24 in the morning is when I got a phone call while I was actually I was leading my daughter to Firestone so she
Okay.
could get her car tire repaired, and I get this phone call from my doctor that says, "Hey, are you available?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm available to talk." And she proceeds to tell me that my biopsy came back demonstrating intraductal carcinoma of the right breast, stage 2B. And so, I'm driving and I'm hearing this, so it's almost like I heard it and then it just slowed down. Wah, 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 cancer, and then I just like heard it so quickly. So, um, when I got that diagnosis initially, I'm a more of a private person, so I don't share. And I kept having people come to me and say, "Hey, I really feel like you're supposed to share your story, share your journey out loud." And by the time I think I had 3 or 4 people share the same thing in 2 weeks, and none of them knew each other, at that moment I was kind of like, okay, I need to share my journey publicly, not knowing what it would turn into, but just kind of like, this is what we're going to do. And so I started this Facebook group. I'm like, the best way to do that is Facebook because I can make a private group.
Exactly.
It's like it's public, but it's private. So that's how Pink Battalion started. It was a Facebook group that I started to live my breast cancer journey out loud. And
Okay.
it wind up turning into a community in which, even though I was on my breast cancer journey, I actually was motivating and inspiring. And I mean, literally, I would get on there and, I've got a word of inspiration, I've got a word of motivation. I just came back from chemo, and then I'm, reading a scripture or telling them,
Yes.
something, walking the dog and giving a message, all these parallels. And it was interesting to see how I thought I was getting on just so people could see me walking through the journey, not realizing that God was actually going to use my journey to inspire, motivate, push other people, through
Yes.
that were on a breast cancer journey, and some of them were not. So that's how the Pink Battalion started.
You know, when you think about that, you think there would be no interest really in your story. And the thing is, you just got on a platform to just share what you were experiencing every single day. Come to find out, there was so many like-minded people that needed that space to just
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, they did. And it was so good. And it was even interesting to see the difference between the different social media platforms. What
Mhm.
I realized is there are so many that are in need of, just like you said, sometimes we just want to know that somebody else understands what we're going through.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
sometimes you don't want to keep hearing oh, you got this, come on, get it together. Sometimes you want to hear, oh no, I've been through that. I
Yes.
understand that, this is what helped me come through that. Sometimes it's just, hey, you just need you need a shoulder to cry on. Come on, right
Yeah,
here. You know what I mean? You need
absolutely.
that. So that's what Pink Battalion was. But it was interesting because I noticed that some of my other platforms that I was posting on, they grew exponentially because I also began to see this other side that I wasn't sure how to reconcile it. It was almost like sometimes people like to see people going through something. I don't know if it's that they like to, or that they just like feeling like they see what's going on. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Mhm.
then when you get well, it's like, okay, you're well now, goodbye. So there was that whole different side of that, which is what basically led me to where I am
Yeah.
now with the whole thing. It was like, when I'm sick, everybody's there. Now I'm well, it's like, see ya.
You don't need me no more, right? Well,
Yes. So I was like, oh, okay, this is what survivorship is like. Okay, I rang the bell. I'm done being sick, looking sick, having no more hair.
yeah,
And okay, everybody's like, yeah, you're good. All right, see ya. So
exactly, and people just move on with their lives, right?
they move on. They
Just move
move
on
on,
with their
which
lives.
you want people to move on. But I think there is a misunderstanding about the journey. I think
Yeah.
people feel like after a breast cancer journey, or to be honest, any cancer journey, because everything I'm talking about that is specific to breast cancer, because it's my journey,
Mhm.
is really specific for any cancer journey. And the bottom line is, okay, so you rang the bell, whether it was literally or figuratively, right? It just means that your active treatment is over now. And there is this mindset that when you ring the bell, you're good. But there is a whole new reality. There's a whole new life. Your body looks different for some that have had surgery. I went from having this body that had no scars. I had never had surgery before, with the exception of like a little minor procedure on my toes when I was young. But I wasn't someone who had had a C-section. I wasn't someone who had my appendix taken out. I wasn't someone
Mhm.
who had any of those things. So now, people don't realize you've got to look at this new body that, in my mind, it was like, oh, this looked like Frankenstein, scars here,
Yeah,
and so it was different. And for women and men probably too, because a rare occurrence is that breast cancer develops in men too,
absolutely.
1% of the time. And so they get mastectomies also. They do radiation also. And so your body changes. And if
Yeah,
your body is, for some of us, your body is kind of like, that's the sexy part of you, that's your sexual place. And even for breast,
exactly,
for women, can be a very sexual organ for them. But no one's sitting down and talking to you about, what do you do now that you don't have feeling in your breast because the nerves were injured during surgery? How do you reconcile that? Now you rung the bell. They say you're done and you're good, but there's all of these different physical, emotional, and even spiritual things for some people that there's no one there really helping us to get through that. So Pink Battalion actually transitioned over just the last, I would say, few months, because it took me 4.5 years to realize this is where my voice needs to be
wow.
in this season of survivorship. It is, hey, where's all the support in survivorship? Where's the roadmap in survivorship? Where are these conversations? in survivorship, we need to have these conversations. And so now we've pivoted to really redefining what survivorship looks like in breast cancer. And to be honest, like I keep saying it, even though I know it's my focus is breast cancer, but the physician part of me
Yes,
realizes that this is something that is needed in every survivorship phase for cancers, you know.
absolutely. And I'm glad you stated that. And we're going to segue right into that because I want to hear your backstory because you never thought you would have to detour in your life. I mean, you delivered thousands of babies, you
Hmm.
know? I mean, you help bring life in the world.
Hmm.
And now you're facing your own battle. So
Yeah.
let's talk about who is Dr. Chevelta? You know, let's talk about that journey because God has given you such an amazing assignment to help restore people and give people hope and feel
Yeah.
like there is life after going through the battlefield.
Yeah, for sure. So who am I? If you ask me who I am right now, my simple answer would just simply be, well, I am, I'm a servant of God. I'm a disciple of the Lord. You know, that's where I've come to now. But before, I was a physician, an OBGYN, like you said, delivering babies. I was someone who loved working out. I mean, I thought for this season of time, I wanted to be, a bodybuilder. That was
Okay.
a real goal for me, was, because I just loved lifting and I loved the way my body looked with lifting. I liked more of the subtle feminine kind of look and toning to it, not so much the, extra tremendous
Mhm.
musculature, although there's nothing wrong with that, but for me that was kind of where I was. So this is who I was, and I was serving in church, and I was a mom of three, and I'm a wife. So my my mindset was, hey, I'm life is good, got this good job, I'm pulling back from some things, and then you're laying in bed having pillow talk with your husband, and I reach over to feel my breast, because I would do my regular breast exams, so
Mhm.
sometimes I get in bed, I'll be like, oh, it's time to check, and I feel this lump that's different. And so it was interesting because I had had a lump before in my left breast that was benign, but this one was different. It felt very different. The characteristics of it felt, different. It was harder, firmer. And so I said, we need to get this checked out. And in getting it checked out, I had in the back of my mind,
Mhm.
this might just be that. Um,
Mm.
I had that in my mind. And because at the time, the research was 1 in 8 women will receive a diagnosis of breast cancer. And so
One and eight.
we had a family prayer line, and that we would come together every Sunday and the family prays. And on that prayer line, in my mind, when I'm thinking about this lump, it was like, wow, there's 8 women that are in that age bracket of women that are at risk for breast cancer. This might be that, because 1 in 8, well, there's 8 of us, and
Yes.
I'm feeling this lump. So, it was kind of that reality for me, but that's who I was. I was an author. I had published a few books.
Mhm.
And so my mind is not and I had no family history of breast cancer.
Mm.
I had no family history of breast cancer. I have one aunt in my family that they believe had cancer in the breast, but not that we know if it was primary. So,
Okay.
and it wasn't in my immediate family, no one. So, there's all these things that you're thinking of, and I'm like, wow, okay, here we go.
Yes.
So that's who I was then. And to be honest, it's who I stayed, honestly, on the journey, even though a lot was lost on the journey,
Yes.
because it takes so much away from you, you know? And so I was very much a person who, if you would have asked me, am I a person who needs to be in control? My answer would be no. But I am a type A person. So I realized that, yeah, you say that, and you may not be a micromanager, or, you're not aggressive in that way. But yeah, you still like to be in control. You still like to be in
It's our
control.
flesh. It's our flesh.
It's my flesh. It
It
wants to be in
is. It
control.
is.
It's like, I'm plotting out. Okay, I'm gonna do this on this day, this on that day, this on that day. This is my schedule. And when you think about it, people who do that, you know, we like to be in control. That's part of being in
Absolutely.
control, you know?
Absolutely.
So now I'm not in control. And that was a whole another thing to experience on the journey. I think I cried more than I had
Okay.
ever cried in my life. My family had never seen, my kids had never seen me cry. And my daughter was 20, let me see, she's 32 now. So that was about 4 years, almost 5 years ago. So my daughter was about 26, 27 when I was
Mm,
diagnosed, my oldest daughter. So
mhm.
imagine that your daughter's 26 or 27. She's never seen her mom cry.
So all she sees is strength, strength of a woman, you know?
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. And then now you see tears. And my tears weren't because I was diagnosed. I think because of my faith, I never feared the diagnoses. It wasn't a fear. It actually was a relief that if I was the person who had it, I'm glad it was me. Because out of the 8 women in my family, I rather it be me. And it sounds weird, but that's absolutely where my mindset was. And then when I heard the diagnoses, it wasn't fear. It was just actually this experience that I had where it just sounded like everything slowed down until she got to cancer. And then, it was like, okay, yeah, I heard that. But I think for me, I had hope, I had faith. And so
Yeah.
that's what carried me through. But my tears, which was a lot of it, a lot of cry. I mean, sometimes I like that heavy
Yeah,
cry
definitely.
was because
Definitely.
I was upset. I was frustrated that I could not control certain things that I felt I should have control over. There is no control. You lose it from the moment they diagnose you. It's like, okay, we're referring you to here. Okay, yep, here's your treatment plan. Yep, these are the things that you need to be on. Oh, yeah, we're going to refer you also now to see this person. Yep, okay, these are the key. Like, it's just rattling off things. Do you have the right as a patient to say, no, I don't want to do something? Absolutely. And I teach my patients that. But when you're facing this kind of diagnoses, you got to make a decision, right? And you have the choice to say, I'm not going to do anything. I don't want any treatment at all. You have that choice. But for me, I knew, hey, I have no problems with moving forward with treatment. I just don't know that I want the conventional treatment. I'm not sure I want this type of pharmaceutical. I think I want something more natural, or I want something, but
Well,
at the same time, I wanted something that still was evidence based, even if it was less toxic on my system. And that was the frustration of not being able to find the information that really gave me more assurance that, hey,
okay.
this has a lot of good evidence behind it. So there was lots of tears, lots of frustration that I could not control what was going on. And it was good for me, to be honest. I needed that to learn how
Right.
to be vulnerable.
Oh, to be vulnerable. So that's definitely one of the takeaways I know you talk about. It softened you. And let me ask you this, because some people feel like to hold on to some sort of control, I'm going to control even how I communicate what my diagnosis is, putting it out there, allowing people in that space. But did you find that you really, once you had the diagnosis, you opened yourself up even more, even though you were trying to figure out all these different emotions? And being a physician, being able, because your mind immediately, you're not just thinking about the emotional sensories that your body's going through, you're also thinking from a medical standpoint and trying to problem solve and figure things out.
Yeah, yeah, and because my field of expertise is obstetrics and gynecology, I had had a beautiful and wonderful opportunity to see women throughout my journey or throughout my career, to come in who had been on that journey. So I had an idea of what the journey could be, not fully, but what the journey could be. So I had to begin to process that. So yeah, I'm a physician who is now a patient.
Yes.
because my area, like I said, it's OBGYN. I deliver babies, I do hysterectomies, I treat this or that. I'm not a breast oncologist. I'm not a cancer specialist. So I may have some familiarity with it, but I'm walking in just like any other person who is not knowledgeable in this field. So I didn't know about the drugs and this and that and what you're trying to do. And some of the language and the lingo is very different for me. Um, and so I've always been a very honest and transparent person. So I don't think I struggled with that. What I had to really more struggle with was the lack of control, and then now trying to figure out how do I tell people
Yes.
without having to say the same story over and over again, because you get so fatigued at the beginning of the journey. Like I said, you are sent so many places in a short period of time. I was diagnosed like at 9:24 a.m. in the morning. At 11 something in the morning, I can't remember the exact time, but it was like 11 something in the morning. They had
Mm.
already referred me to the breast oncologist who was
Really?
who was like 45 minutes away from my house. So like it's like I had barely had an opportunity to
Even
process, you know,
exactly.
hey, you just got this diagnosis, and all of a sudden it was like, shoot. So there's so much happening so fast. I knew when I was going to tell people what the diagnosis was, that there's going to be now a bombardment of questions, a bombardment of how are you feeling, how are you doing, how is this or that. I hadn't had a chance to process that to tell you how I feel. So
Yeah.
I didn't want all of that yet. So I actually announced my breast cancer diagnoses through social media because I was a social media influencer at that time. And so I set it up on this day. This is what we have in, and it was called Cancer Mess with the Wrong Girl. That was the whole thing. And then I announced to the world, so to speak, that I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so that's how I made the announcement to the public, and then to friends and close family more in that inner circle.
Yes.
It was a FaceTime call and say, hey, this is what's going on. And so here's their response. You joking, right? No, I'm not joking.
No.
You for real? You for real? I'm for
Oh,
real. I'm for real. So,
wow. I want to say this. So, M.A. Powell, 76, Michelle Powell is a girlfriend. We've been friends for over 30 years. She said, thank you so much for your transparency and sharing your story. I wish I didn't have to jump off for a meeting. So, she's on her way to a meeting. She said, but I will definitely listen to the reply. This is an important message that needs to be heard.
mm,
Yeah, I tell you. Um,
thank
yeah,
you.
thank God for the replay. For those that aren't available during the live, that they can go back and they can replay it. And thank God for those that are chiming in that may not want to come up in the comments, but you're watching from a distance, I always say. Um, if you know anyone that,
Mhm,
and I believe, I don't know what the statistics are in households and families, how many people may deal with someone that has cancer or have gone through the cancer battle and may not have won the battle, but you still are a part of that journey, that process. This is for you also. Every Tuesday, we will be here every Tuesday. Pink Battalion Tuesdays. This is the command center. All roads lead to the Pink Battalion Vet Gala in Houston, Texas in November. And
mhm,
so, what you're going to find is really the one thing I love and appreciate so much about you, Dr. Chevelta, is how you are just so honest
mm.
and just letting it be known. And when people go back and they check out, go to join right now, if you can, join on Facebook, Pink
Yeah.
Battalion. Join the Facebook group so you could be a part of the discussion. You could share your stories there. Also on Instagram is at pink_battalion. Make sure you join. And if it's not you, share the information with someone else that may need to feel a sense of belonging. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. No one wants to go through this as an isolated on an island all by yourself. And sometimes people put themselves there because they don't know how to connect with others. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, a lot of times you probably people probably look at you, she's a gynecologist, she's doing her thing, she's helping others, she's bringing life into the world, and not her, she got it all together. Not her, she's but this interruption comes, right? This interruption comes, and it's like your whole life, it's a whole new reality we talked about.
Yeah, and if I could say something there, even when you were making your announcement, I was, about no matter who you are, um, to tune in and to share. And I think it's so important because the key word is the interruption,
Yes.
right? For breast cancer, which is what my mission is to have that conversation about redefining
Mhm.
survivorship, but for any cancer, it is absolutely an interruption. And the way I've always felt it to be, because I was also in the Navy, so I'm a Navy veteran as well. And so in the Navy, when I was in, it's called active duty. You're on active duty and you're out there and you're doing whatever the assignment is for however the assignment lasts. And then after I'm done with the assignment, I'm now considered a veteran, meaning, hey, I've been in the active. But in that military sense, I get to enlist myself, for the most part. Now, I'm not talking about drafts that happened a long time ago. For the most part, now people can go and say, hey, I want to join the Navy. I want to join the Army. But this interruption for breast cancer and any cancer, right? Anything that people really experience in their lives, this can parallel to it, is that this wasn't something that I enlisted in. I didn't like wake up one morning and say,
Absolutely.
oh, I want to enlist in the battle again, of breast cancer. I want to be on that battlefield, right? And so, but that's
Absolutely.
what happened. You wake up involuntarily, you find yourself now in this battle with an enemy called breast cancer. And that is a major interruption. And so the reason why I think it's absolutely important that people tune in and share is not
Yes.
because I need you to see me, not because I need any numbers or anything, but it's because I believe in raw and transparent communication. And the reality is that there are some people who are angry. They are angry with the interruption. They are angry because of maybe the lack of support on the journey or on the other side of the journey. They're fearful. They're anxious. There's so many things. And then, you get into this. And for me, immediately when I was diagnosed, then all of a sudden it was like, you're a part of the pink community. I have this picture, and I didn't even think to send it to you, but I have a picture again. 2 hours or so after I've received the diagnosis, I'm in the breast oncologist office and they've got pink pillows and pink things that we're holding up, like, yeah. And, again, as like, you're in this pink community. And so I have come to love and honor being a part of the pink community. However, another pink ribbon was not something I needed. And to be honest, I struggled with being in the pink community.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people struggle. But the struggle wasn't because I don't value those that have been on the journey and honor the journey. I was one who went on it. So all of those things I do value, but it was because I didn't ask to be a part of it. It wasn't an invitation
Absolutely.
that was extended. And I said, oh, yeah, I want to be a part of it. Having the diagnosis of breast cancer, getting that phone call at 9:24 a.m. on November the 8th, 2021, is how I got into the battle. That was what brought me in. But many people struggle with that and they don't know who to
Yes.
talk to, to be honest. Because if you say what I just said, I struggle with being a part of the pink community. It's like, oh, you didn't want to be a part of the pink community. The word pink, now pink happened to be my favorite color, and that's the irony of this all. Pink was my favorite color before the journey, but at the
Mm,
same time, I didn't want to be looked at as I went through this journey and now I'm known for I'm wearing pink, right? Because the reality is I'm already aware of breast cancer.
yes.
So I don't need an awareness of it, especially those of us that are on the journey. I don't need an awareness of breast cancer. I'm already aware,
Okay.
right? I'm
Absolutely.
aware. And what I need is I know how to check my breast. I think it's a great message, and we need the message to still continue to be pushed for those that don't know the message. But for those of us who are already aware of breast cancer because we've been on a journey, we already know how to check our breast. We understand that. And we
Yes.
either have been a part of research or maybe it's just not where we want to go right now. What else are you helping us with? And where the gap is the survivorship piece, or I should really say, the phase of survivorship that happens after the active treatment ends. After active treatment ends and the bell's rung, again, it's like you're everybody, young college, everybody, oh, you're cancer free. Yes. Go on. I'll see you in 6 months. But there's so
Mm,
much more. What about this
yeah,
the edema? I still need, what about this and that?
exactly. So how many people out there right now that have they're on the battlefield, they just got their diagnosis, they're at the end, they're ringing the bell, you know, what's next? Or what
Mm-hmm.
do I have to look forward to? And that's where I believe God is truly blessing you. I just believe God has smiled down on you. He knows that you are someone that can carry this. He trusts you with it. And now here we are. You are doing
Yeah.
just that.
Yeah, I have a loud voice, so he probably was like, "Yeah,
That one
yeah,
right there.
you, that one right there, you know how to make some noise," and I'm hoping that the noise that we make, being tongue in cheek with it, is not a noise or an alarm that will send people running away, but will
Yes.
be more of a noise or a signal for people to come to. It's really interesting because in medicine, we learned for wound healing that when someone gets a cut, when you cut your hand and it opens, there is actually some cell signaling that occurs in the body that is a signal of recruitment, meaning, hey, we need more cells that have to do
Mm,
with helping to fortify, rebuild the tissue. We need you to come here to this area. And that's how the wound is able to heal because there's a recruitment of different types of cells to help rebuild
right.
the area. So in this area of survivorship is what we call it. For me, my voice I'm hoping will be the signal to say, "Hey, we need people to come over here to help to bring complete healing and restoration and repair and peace and confidence, right? And a renewed sense of my identity, all of those things that change and are lost. We need you to
Mhm.
come help us to rebuild and repair that. And we need to establish something that is very much um consistent across the board for everybody. And so that's really where I am. It's not that I don't like the word survivorship, but I don't like the word survivorship.
Yes, yes.
Because it's almost like, oh yeah, I'm hanging on, I made it through and I'm just hanging on. And I know that there's in the breast cancer community, there's been a lot of changing. Some are now using more Thriver and things of that nature. And
Mhm.
so I know that survivorship in general is always medically going to probably be defined as the time from when you are diagnosed with your cancer until how long do you live. that
Okay.
is that is how survivorship is defined. So I was diagnosed November 8th of 2021. On November 8th of 2026, it will be 5 years from the time that I was diagnosed. That's considered, hey, 5 years of survivorship. But I think what's missed is that there are phases within this long journey of survivorship that never ends. It goes until
Yes.
the Lord takes me home. I'm in survivorship. But there's some things that we are missing. There's some gaps within that needs to really be focused on. And that to me is going to be the life after treatment. How do you help people to rebuild from that, because they're walking around afraid that my cancer is going to come back. That's the big fear. And so we need to talk about that, and we need to not just talk about it, but we need to teach people how you actually can change the biological terrain in your body that gave cancer permission to grow in the first place. And that needs
Wow.
to be a really big component of what I call veteranhood, right? I call it breast cancer veteranhood. I don't call it just survivorship anymore, but within survivorship, I've created this term that means after active treatment, when now those times of, appointments and things are more scarce, they're less frequent. But now during that season, after I'm done with my active treatment, right? I'm not on active
Yeah.
duty anymore. I'm a veteran, right? But I'm a breast cancer veteran. Someone else might be a prostate cancer veteran. It just means you're not in the active treatment. How do I really thrive here? How not calling myself that, but what are the things in place that are really helping me to thrive? Where's the mental health referrals, right? Where's helping me to get back financially on cue? Some people have been out of work for a long time. I was out for almost nine months. Who's helping me to keep the creditors off my back because they understand, hey, I couldn't pay you anything, or I tried to do what I could, but hey, I was on a
Yes.
breast cancer journey for this long. Where are those people? Where are the support to help my family who was traumatized by the
Wow.
experience? They're watching mom's hair fall out. These are all of the things that people on a breast cancer journey and any cancer journey experience. And there's not the support for the caregiver, the children, whether someone's presence remains on this earth through the journey or not. There's still going to be, people that are affected. And so we need to have that conversation and we need to build out something for them.
That's the massive vision I'm talking about that God has given you. And so he drops this word veteranhood in your spirit, and it's trademarked, or it's going through the
Mhm.
trademark process,
Mhm.
because I mean, for what you just broke down, for people to understand, for those that understand exactly what you talked about, there is a place that he is
Yeah.
creating for you to be able to feel like there is community, there is family, there is help
Yeah.
in veteranhood, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It is a massive, massive vision that God has given you to really touch the hearts of people that feels hopeless,
Yeah.
feeling isolated, feeling all alone, not just for those that have gone through the actual battle, but for the family members that have lost loved ones on the battlefield, you know? Where do you get your answers? How do how are you comforted? Right now, even on our team, and everyone will get a chance to meet Renata, who
Yeah.
is a part of the Pink Battalion team. Um, she wasn't one that dealt with cancer, but she
Mhm.
was a caregiver for her mom going through cancer.
Yeah.
And it's amazing her fight. It's amazing that she connected with you because there
Yeah.
was a sense of community, and
Yeah.
now she's working with you. It's a
Yes.
thing. It is a
Yeah, and
beautiful
she's
thing.
passionate about it, as you
Yes.
know. She's like, listen, I know this is about breast cancer, but I needed this despite, and that's why we try so hard. I want it to be known. Yes, our focus is breast cancer because that is the journey that I was on, but this
Mhm.
community is open up to those that, are walking or are walking beside someone with any cancer journey because
Absolutely.
we all are going through that. And it's interesting when you mentioned Renata because I also think of Jabin, right? We have a
Yes,
male on our team. And here's the thing, sometimes the men, they get forgotten in this journey, but we
absolutely.
we want to hear the stories of the men also that were on breast cancer journeys, or they were walking very closely beside someone on a breast cancer
Absolutely.
journey, whether they remain here or whether they have transitioned on, because again, it's important that we're able to help everyone, men and women, on this journey, no
Absolutely.
matter where your position is, right? Because it's important, and
It is.
that's what we need. We need that.
It is. You also came, prior to getting your diagnosis, you were in a space that you were dealing with patients that were going through cancer journeys. So being the medical professional to help also see them through, it's a whole different hat that you had to wear. So
Yeah,
you have several different hats that you have worn in this process or in your journey to be in this space for God to say, that's the one I chose to use to carry
yeah,
this. And you know what? It's not just one person. He may have given you the assignment, but it takes a community. It takes a
Yeah.
community of support to really be able to have a heart posture towards those that are just, I need help because I feel so all alone, or I need help. Where do I go? Where can I tap into resources? And right now, the great thing is anybody out there that you have been waiting for this, you have been praying about, God, send me a community. God, send me like minded people. Send me people that can understand the journey that I'm enduring, that I'm going through.
Yeah.
You've been waiting on this. And you know what? If you are receiving this, that means God is answering your prayer. I'm
Yeah.
going to
Come
say
on.
Imma
He
say
is.
that one, right? God is
He
answering the
is.
call, he's answering the prayer, but you know what? It takes the support of all of us
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
able to not, and when I say support, support is not just monetary support. Support is giving of oneself. Sharing your stories is a big part of this Pink Battalion Tuesday takeover, this platform. We
Yeah.
have it whereas and maybe I should just should I like show the website? Should we share that? So at this point, just so if anybody right now, we want to direct you where you can go and just put your name on our wait list so we can just have your information, right? And we
Yeah.
can have you stay connected with what's going on. So let me share
Yeah.
that really quickly, and then
That'll be
we'll
great.
also share the website in. So now I want
Looks
you to
so
bear with.
good.
Yes, I want you to bear with us. This is just the start of the landing page. So
Yeah.
next Tuesday, when you join us in the Pink Battalion Command Center, you're going to see even more information, right?
Yeah.
But what we wanted to do with Dr. Chevelta coming on and really being able to share her heart, share her story, talk about what God is, the assignment God has given her. We wanted to make sure you had a place. If you are connecting and tuning in now, that, or if you're watching this on a replay, we wanted to make sure you have a place to be able to go to, you know, to connect with others so we can
Yeah.
get your information so she can stay connected. So this is it, our Pink Battalion. And I'm going to let you navigate if you want to just share a little bit about it. Now, bear with us. Like I said, this is the initial sneak peek of what's to
Yes. Sneak peek, guys. You got it first here. I'm just proud of it in general. And again, shout out to Germaine, guys. She has really just taken lead on putting a lot of things together and getting our website and stuff together. Just a lot of things. And I'm excited about it for every reason that she's already mentioned. I believe that, Pink Battalion, like I said, we are shifting from just the active part and active treatment of breast cancer to really trying to work to close this gap, right?
come.
From finishing active treatment and then trying to figure out how do you navigate this life beyond your breast cancer diagnosis. And so I'm excited about it because it is absolutely about community, but it's also about helping to build this roadmap to
Yes.
navigating, right, this life beyond what we call beyond the bell, understanding that everyone may not literally ring the bell, but it still signifies when anytime the bell was rang in the military on the ships, it was signifying the end of a watch and the beginning of a new watch. So it was the end of one time frame and moving into another time frame. And that is absolutely the reality of what happens on these journeys. So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited for you guys to see the full blown. And it
Yes.
is, again, it is a community, men and women. And I keep saying men. I know it's not a lot out there on breast cancer journeys or coming off of them, but I know you're out there and your stories matter. And we want to hear that. For those of you guys that, again, you were walking closely beside somebody, you were a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife. For those that were with men on the journey, we want to hear your stories too, because the goal is that we are able to build and create resources that are really going to help individuals, whether they have a diagnosis or they were supporting someone with a diagnosis, to really learn how to rebuild life again. And so I'm excited. I can't wait. We want stories. Those stories are important, and it's just exciting. And so can I share why we're also creating getting the
Oh,
stories? Okay.
absolutely.
So you mentioned our team, and I have to say this, guys, because when we're talking about our community, I have a fantastic team, and I don't say that just because they're fantastic. I have a fantastic team. Every person on my team
Yes.
I chose because I felt like this is who God was telling me to choose. And in choosing them, there is so much that is offered for the community. So you guys, as Germaine mentioned already, yes, I'm an OBGYN. I understand, the health of women and things of that nature, and navigating things on the backside. And so I'm able to bring that expertise into what eventually will be a survivorship program, because I'm understanding not just breast cancer from someone who had it, but I'm also a physician, so I understand medical aspects of it. And I'm also, a person who I serve the Lord, I love the Lord, I'm a servant of the Lord. And so I understand the spiritual needs that occur.
Yeah.
People lose hope on these journeys. People get mad at God. People get depressed. There's so many different things. And so we've got to learn that we are not just a body, but as humans, we have a body, we have a soul, and we have a spirit. And many times in medicine, the focus is just on the body. Now we're starting to focus on the soul, which includes, mental health, but we leave the spiritual part out. And you need all three to completely heal. And so the goal of this community that we are putting together and building a roadmap for is to really help people to get into the right places, whether it's through us directly or whether it's through the partnerships that we have to be able to do that. So, for example, Dr. Sam is a licensed naturopathic physician who
Hmm.
has a wonderful program, in which it includes cancer patients of any type of cancer. And so that is her thing. And she helps with diet. She's been trained in that. She helps with so many different things, mental health. So we have someone on our team who has her program to do that. And then we have Germaine. She is also a publisher. And so we're able to capture people's stories, my story,
Yeah.
other people's stories, and we're putting it together. Here's the sneak peek. It won't be sneak after people start looking at it, but after people look at the recap. But we are putting together a book, an anthology book, where at
Yes.
the event, you got to be at the event to get it. I'm sorry, but it's just that special. And we're honoring the stories of those that have been on the journey, those that were walking with someone on the journey. So it might be a son telling his story of how he felt watching of breast cancer. And so we're capturing, it might be a medical professional. We want to hear from you too, someone who takes care of breast cancer patients all the time. And what is it that you can share that can help us develop the roadmap that we need to develop on the back end of survivorship? So we have someone who does that on our team. And so it's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. Sybil Bull is someone else on the team. I'm saying all
Yes.
this because I feel like as you said that, I'm like really thinking we really have that. She helps people
You
to
do.
optimize their lives. She helps you to take things in your life and, help to decrease the stress by teaching you how to organize your life. And that's so important because we know through research, stress, it really causes our immune system to be changed. It can lead to chronic illnesses, which includes, increasing risk of cancer of all types. And so when we can learn how to do things that can decrease stress, that's only one component, right? We are chipping away at some of the things that increase that risk. And so I'm just really excited that we have a phenomenal team. There are more people on the team. I
Do.
didn't mention everybody, but just more people on the team with skills and things to help out. And so it truly is a community we are working to build together, putting all of these components together in this community that I believe is just going to be unlike, any other, you know? And so I'm excited about
Absolutely.
that.
So listen, I handpicked you literally handpicked your team for the vision God had given you. And I tell you, a lot of us we just met for the first time. So coming together, it already feels like family. We're
Yeah.
operating in our spaces of expertise. We're coming together to bring forth the vision God has blessed you with. And you know what's so interesting is we all have a story ourselves that ties right into the
Yes.
Pink Battalion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. We really do. And it's interesting because sometimes people don't realize that their lives have been touched, even if it's in an indirect way, of someone
Absolutely.
who's had breast cancer. I mean, think about the person who used to be at your job and then that person's no longer there because you learned that they had a breast cancer journey. So we're touched in so many different ways. And I think
Mhm.
there's power in collectiveness and there's power in collaboration, which is why, you know, I had an opportunity to speak to a breast oncologist who was providing care to me, and I was sharing with her my desire to build, just a whole system and roadmap for survivorship, for specifically for veteranhood. And you'll hear me more and more just refer to it as veteranhood, breast cancer
Yes.
veteranhood. But I'm going in between a little bit because I know the audience isn't quite familiar with that term. But I don't necessarily, I don't say that I'm a breast cancer survivor. I know that I'm in the survivorship, but people, when they get out of the military and we say veteran, oh, you're a veteran, there's such an honor that comes with that. There's an honor when it's being
Mm.
spoken. And so for me, I want to change that meaning and that feeling that you get when we're recognizing people on the back end of a cancer journey. And so for veteranhood, it can be inclusive and be used for all types of cancer, but for us it's breast cancer veteranhood. But um, I think it's important that we are able to figure out how exactly we're building the community. And so, in
Yes.
speaking to her, she began to share with me that hospital systems and other medical facilities used to have some things and resources for people coming off of breast cancer journeys, but over time, they get rid of them because monies and funding, or they don't, for whatever the reason. Or she was like, I don't know what happened. It's like we used to have it, but then we don't have it, and there's a big gap. And this was a really, she
Mm.
represents a really big healthcare system in the state of Texas. And so when I really thought about it, I said, so we need money. And I know that people shy away when they hear somebody say, hey, we need sponsorship, we need help, we need monies, because I used to be that person. But early on, God taught me really about the importance of giving. And so when we say, hey, we if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to, if you want to donate, we're asking because we realize that what we're taking on is a really big thing. We
Yes.
realize that healthcare systems are removing themselves away from that. Now, there may still be some out there who are doing it, but funding and a lot of things becomes a real issue for some of the healthcare systems. Even if they may want to do it, they've got to scale back. It's not enough.
Mhm.
So for me, I've always been the type of person that if I see that there's something that needs to be fixed, then I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna fix it. And I may
Yep.
have to pull in my friends and my neighbors and my girl from up the street, and oh, that's my boy, whoever it is. But it's like, hey, y'all, we need to fix this because no one right now looks like they're gonna fix it for us. And so the reality is that we've all been touched by breast cancer. And the reality is we've all been even the ones that say, oh girl, I'm so glad you're doing great. Yeah, goodbye. And we've all been the ones to back away. But the
Yeah.
reality, and not maliciously, but just because we don't really have an understanding of what the person is going through and what they need. And so I am calling on everybody. I'm calling on everybody, myself included. Let's
Yes.
come
Yes.
together as people of every ethnicity, every race, every creed, every whatever, and let's really make a difference in something that really affects many people that live. We can just stop in the United States. We don't even have to get over into the rest of the country, even though it happens over there as well. So,
I love that. And you know what? It takes finances to build
yeah,
anything worthwhile
yeah,
building.
yeah.
But you have such a faith that is incredible because even if you don't see how it's coming, where it's coming from, when it's coming, the finances, it does not slow you down from getting the vision out and casting it forward and allowing people to be a part of it. And you know what's so amazing? God just provides, because if it's
Yeah.
from him, he's going to make the way possible.
Yeah, I
Oh,
believe that. I believe that. I believe faith plays a big role in the things that we do. And I
yes,
believe that sometimes we don't get started because we're always trying to figure out all the pieces.
exactly.
And so, the reality is that the November 7th, the Vet Gala is actually going to be my 5-year survivorship benchmark in terms of what it's defined as in medicine. And the initial response was, "Hey, I'm going to have a celebration. I'm going to celebrate my 5 years because the oncologist told me when I get there, if when you get there, that's a huge benchmark because the type of breast cancer that I was diagnosed with was very aggressive." Um, but then something really changed as I began to really figure out where my identity lied within this pink community. It was, hey, I want to celebrate 5 years because that's huge. But I more so want to give back in some way. I want it not to just be something that is benefiting me in the sense of, hey, congratulations, but what can I do and continue to do? And
Yes,
so, for that reason, I said, you know what, this will be a celebration, not just for my 5 year, but we're going to honor all of our breast cancer veterans, all of our people that have been on the journey. But most importantly, this event will be a benefit. It is our fundraiser, it is our way to begin to raise money for the different things that we want to roll out that
absolutely.
I'm praying will expand so that we can provide that roadmap for people who are in the veteranhood portion of their survivorship. So that is really what it is all about. And I'm looking forward to it being every year. So
Listen, every Tuesday, this has officially become the Pink Battalion Tuesday Command Center.
yeah.
So we are going to get so much into a lot of things that is going on, especially as we coin it, all roads lead to November 7th in Houston, Texas at the Citadel, whereas it's the actual inaugural annual event. And we're
Yes.
going to really honor and celebrate. And even with that, there are those out there. I know that you have a heart, you want to give, you don't know how to give. And so we will make sure on the website that if you just want to give donations, then you can just do that. For no reason, I just want to sow into this vision for what God is doing, creating this veteranhood community. Or you may be someone that say, listen, I'm interested. I want to become a sponsor of this event. What do I need to do? So that's going to be made available for you also. Like I said, today was the first sneak peek. We just had some information we wanted to share with you. We wanted to
Yes.
get this information out. We wanted to let you know there is a place that you can come, put on your calendars every Tuesday. I'm locking in 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Morning Brew with Germaine in the Pink Battalion Tuesday Takeover. Yes. And
Yes.
bring your stories. Even if you want to be a part of our live experience, then let us know so we can bring you into the conversation. So, some of the things, let's just talk a little bit about some of the things when they do meet us here on Tuesdays in the command center. What are some of the things they may encounter?
Ooh, well, first of all, you're gonna get some honesty and you're gonna get transparency. That's for sure.
As we can
I,
see.
Yes, yes, I'm all about real talk because real talk brings about healing. But I think you
Yes,
can expect to hear how we want to redefine survivorship and even how survivorship is being defined. I think you're going to learn a lot more about the Vet Gala. I think you're going to learn more about what veteranhood really is. And we're
yeah,
going to talk about the different terms and things of that nature and what the vision is. And my hope is that, guys, I'm hearing from you. We would love to be able to
yes,
come on and just have conversation with those of you that have been through the journey, those of you that have been affected by the journey. Really want it to be something that is a lot of engagement and participation
yes,
because I believe we can learn from one another. I'm sharing my story, but in sharing your experience, how powerful could that be that we're learning something that we've not thought about that we may need to include in our roadmap,
absolutely.
and so those are the things that and you know what, and laughter and fun, because
Yes,
laughter is good medicine for the soul, right? So you're going to
yes,
look to see those
absolutely.
things. Yeah. And come with your Coffee or your tea.
That's it. Listen, let me tell you, just in our sessions as we meet multiple times in a month, the whole team, listen, we have cried together, we have laughed together, we have shared, we have created together. It is so beautiful. And I say, wow, if this is an indication of what's to come, this is going to be a beautiful journey. I have to
Yeah.
tell you, from my standpoint, I have learned so much just being included in this space,
Mm.
from the terminology, just from your expertise, from others that's a part of the team. And it allows it, the empathy. You never know what one is going through. So we
Mhm.
can never assume that because a person may look like they have it all together, they're not broken on the inside. They're not going through something that's life changing on the inside.
Mm.
And so don't just automatically assume that, oh, they're good. No, engage people. Is there
Yes.
anything I can do for you today?
Yes.
What do you
That's
need
so
from
good.
me? How can
Mhm.
I help you? And it's not all about you gaining something monetary. It's not all about that. Sometimes people just need to say, hey, you look so beautiful today. Oh my gosh, your
Yes.
smile just illuminates this space. They just need some kind words, some
Yes.
encouragement, you know?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah, but that's what your heart is so big, and that's what you are giving. I used to always say when we first met each other through one of my authors that I work with, um, and you came with your book during COVID, your heart was still to help people. I have it right here on my shelf. But your heart
Wow.
is to help people. And even from that standpoint, frontline workers, your heart was postured that you have no idea what frontline workers are going through during this pandemic. And I just want to give them some inspiration. I want to give them some empowerment, some hope, some encouragement through this journey because it's not easy. And so
Mm.
I said, where do you find the time? I'll never forget. It's like, where do you get all this energy from?
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it's like this, and running a medical practice. And I'm just like, where do you get all this energy from? I don't know.
I
When you set
don't
your mind to
know.
do something, you
Yeah,
get it
I
done.
don't know where yeah, now I am about getting it done. I don't know where I get all that energy and stuff. But you know what? It's so interesting because the time that we were working on that book, when I thought about it years later, never realized that I actually at that time probably had, cancer was that tumor was developing. And the fact that, you can be pushing it, getting it going and all that, and not even realize things are taking place in your body. So it's like, so
Wow.
when I think about that, yeah, it's so there's many layers to my feelings about that journey, but it was great. Listen, girl, we was working.
Let me tell you, we were working. And you know what? I feel that same energy right now because when I say we are working, we are so
We was
passionate
working.
about making sure the world gets a hold of Pink Battalion, the Vet Gala coming up in November, but it's everything that's taken place before we even get there. It's
Yeah.
people being able to interact. I cannot wait. I did put in the chat. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, but if you are someone that wants to honor the journey and share your story, it's in the chat on Instagram across all the platforms that we broadcast on. Please make sure it's going to be, you can go to once again, please make sure you go to pinkbattalion.com. Stay
Yeah.
connected. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
site because you're going to see so many changes along the way. And you could say, hey, I was there in the beginning. I'm one of the day ones when they first launched it.
Listen, you look as the kids that you were a founding
That's it.
supporter, okay? Yeah, and we need that because
We
just
do.
just as I think about it, I know we're nearing to the end. I lived my life a lot helping people, but I realized that I didn't extend myself beyond what I really could do. I think the thought sometimes
Mhm.
is that we don't have the capacity. Um,
Absolutely.
and I get it because I understand it. But my breast cancer journey, when people begin to reach out to me, who I hadn't heard from since I was, in my childhood years and things of that nature, it was really special. And so I
Yes.
began to reflect on my life, and I realized that all throughout my life I had heard, girl, did you know, Sally's husband was diagnosed with this or that, or did you know, so and so was diagnosed with this or that. And you hear it and you feel bad, and you may even stop and say your prayer, but then we go on with life. There's no intentionality in picking up a phone and calling them and
Yes.
saying, hey, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but how can I help you? It's almost like we're okay with kind of watching people off in the distance go through their journey,
Yes.
and we don't really engage or involve ourselves in their life. And so this journey taught me that my presence matters in the
Yes.
lives of others. I think we don't really realize how much our presence matters. And so I want to encourage people that your presence matters in what we're doing and what maybe someone else is doing. And I want to challenge you
That's
to
good.
get up and become involved, in helping instead of watching on the silence. And it doesn't have to be with the Pink Battalion Vet Gala. It could be something else that you're
Absolutely.
being called to, and you're just kind of watching and you're like, oh, okay. Because sometimes you wake up like me and you'll
Yeah.
realize, wow, that thing that I was watching people go through and I didn't really tap
Now
in
it's
to see,
me.
yeah, how I could lift the burden. And we are called to help lift the load and the burden of one another. And I can't lift the burden by just looking at you. I've got to actively come beside you and help lift that load. And that's what we're asking people to help us do as we put together this inaugural, the very first ever nationally Pink Battalion Vet Gala,
Yes.
and just building the Pink Battalion community in general. People may have expertises that we need to know of. So
Yes.
I'm calling those people to come and be a part of that so that when we put it and build this road, we're building it with a comprehensive knowledge of what may be needed and what people can offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I first want to thank you for just sharing that because I found myself in in that place. Sometimes not knowing how to even make yourself available when someone's in
Yeah,
need, not even knowing like what do I say? How do I because I'm always thinking I don't want to be nobody's burden. And I have to
yeah,
stop thinking like that because sometimes you don't have to say anything. You can just let people know I'm here for you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
The most special
So
thing that I receive sometimes from people, sometimes people reached out and sometimes they're reaching out, was they sent a gift box, like a care box, a breast cancer journey care box.
wow.
Some of the boxes that came, I didn't even know it existed. Like there are actually companies that will send gift boxes to breast cancer patients for free. It's like a charity thing. You just call and you sign up. So there were so many different ways. Sometimes it was a text message that
Wow.
just one of my friends would just have a sign up that said, praying for you or love you or whatever it was. And so it
Yes.
was just a photo that she would send with a sign. So there's so many different ways. But at the other side of that, and we'll talk about that in one of the other sessions,
Yes.
is our ability for those of us on the journey, knowing how to let people know. You got to
Ah,
tell people sometimes too that you need help. That's where the vulnerability comes in. And I know we'll talk about that as we
yes.
have our weeks. We have so much of those things to talk about.
Yes, definitely. Well, I want to do this one last time. I want to open up the web page again because there is a space on the website, and I'm going to put this up on the screen as well so people know how to get there. pinkbattalion.com. But there is a place on the website that, hey, listen, if you just want to disregard newsletter, but I don't know, it could be a newsletter coming soon with this information, so we won't. But if you just want to go ahead and leave your information with us so we can stay in contact with you as we're at the ground floor. Is that the right word for it? Ground floor?
Sound good to
Ground
me.
level? We're at the ground level. So anyone that's coming on board right now, you are at the ground level with us as this is being rolled out to the world for those to be a part of it, for those to come in and share their story. Make sure you stop by the website, pinkbattalion.com. I can't even believe we were able to get that name
Yes.
as a .com, right?
Yes.
But
Come on.
just leave us your information so you can be a part of our community and we can stay connected with you and you can see all the new things that's coming into play and what's going on. So please make sure you do that, okay? And like I said, every week you go there, you're going to find new information.
Yeah.
So I do want to make a quick few shout outs for those, and I'm sorry if I don't hit everybody, but good day, Dr. Tenaria Drummond Smith. Thank you so much for chiming in over on Instagram. Nathan HLMS. Thank you so much for just being a part of the conversation and chiming in. And then Beverly Lundy, thank you so much for being so faithful for chiming in. Listen, for all those that are listening, those that are chiming in, please make sure you share this information every
Yes.
Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we will be here with Dr. Chevelta Smith. She is literally taking over Morning Brew with Germaine with her Pink Battalion Command Center. I love every minute of it and I welcome it because I am learning so much. And then there's so many stories out there. I know you've been waiting for this. You've been waiting for a community that you can be a part of, that you can share and express what you've gone through on the battlefield with your journey of breast cancer. And you know what? This is the place. We welcome your stories. I did put the link once again inside of the comment sections on the platform. So please, at any time, you can click on it, just complete the form so we can really highlight, make your story a part of this journey, turn your stories into reels and verticals. And, we want to hear from you. We do. And
Yeah.
we welcome it. So what is it that you want to leave with those out there? And for those that missed the live and you're catching it on the replay, thank you. Please leave your comments even on the replay. So when we come back next Tuesday, we can revisit and share some information that you leave with us, okay? What is it you want to leave with the people?
Oh my goodness, I'm going to leave this. We have a saying that I know everybody is familiar with that says it takes a village to raise a child. And for me, I want to share it in this way. It takes a village, a community to build a bridge. And so
Yes.
I'm inviting you guys to be a part of that community to build this bridge because I know that we can do something really great together.
Amen. I'm going to put this up because you will see this flyers for Pink Battalion Tuesdays to take over the official command center of the Pink Battalion movement. Yes, all roads lead to November 7th in Houston, Texas, at the Citadel. It's going to be an incredible, incredible time together, honoring, sharing, and also raising funds to fund this massive vision that God has put in place. He has
Yeah.
assigned her to, and it's not just for the Vet Gala. It is
Right.
beyond. And if you can really quickly, because I know we didn't get into a lot of it, and we have plenty of time to share it on our Tuesday sessions or morning brew sessions on Tuesdays. But I really want you to just touch on that just a little. We will make those available, that information available for sponsorship, for donations on the website as well. But I want you to just really allow people to understand it is two separate things we're talking about here. The Vet Gala is just your event, but the
Yeah,
vision is
Pink
so much bigger.
Battalion is the community. Pink Battalion is the community. It is a Facebook group that we have right now, and we're going to be expanding that out to something great. So that's the community where we're coming together and building community, helping one another by sharing our stories and things of that nature. The Vet Gala is the fundraiser. That is the benefit of how we are trying to raise money so that we can provide education, resources, initiatives, programs, all of the things that we are putting together and learning what is needed in the veteranhood portion of survivorship. And so it takes money to do that. And we need monies to be able to do that because unfortunately, the healthcare systems, many of them are not able to have these type of programs within their healthcare system. So that is what the Vet Gala is. It is a celebration. We are honoring those that have been through a breast cancer journey, and then we are raising funds. So that is the difference there. Vet Gala is honoring the journey, funding the
Yes.
beyond. And the Pink Battalion is redefining breast cancer survivorship. Own your veteranhood. Those are the differences.
Amen. I'm just adding on the screen so people can go ahead right now, join the Pink Battalion Facebook group, as well as follow us. Yes, indeed. This is wonderful. Thanks, Dr. Tenaria.
Thank you. So Dr. Tenaria, her last name is the same as mine. I see that Smith on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also follow us on Instagram at pink_battalion. Okay. It costs you nothing but a few moments to click the link and join and
Yeah.
be a part of the movement. That's it.
Yes.
Sometimes it's
Yes.
just time, right? It's just a few minutes of your time.
It's a few
And what
minutes.
you will gain in the process is far greater. I tell you, I promise you. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, yes, Pink Battalion Tuesdays, the takeover, the command center, we are here. We are here. So,
Yes.
come along this journey with us. Let's make it possible. We'll see all of you. Yes, we're opening it up to all of you in Houston,
All of
Texas
you.
in November.
Yes. November.
It has been such a blessing. You know how much I love you. So it's
I
been such
love
a
you
blessing
too. I
to
love
have
you
you
too.
a part of this journey. Yes. So until next Tuesday, we will be back next Tuesday with Pink Battalion. But listen, guys, Morning Brew is here every day, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out. Make sure you chime in, join. And all I ask is just bring whatever you're drinking, okay? So we can kind of sip on it while we're having conversation. All right. On that note, I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you, and so do I, right? So
Yes, yes. It never ends.
that's it. But Lord, we just want to say thank you so much for what you have put together. Let
Mhm.
no man separate and put asunder. So, God, we know your hand is all in this mission for your glory. And we are so grateful that you chose us to be a part of it and all those that you're going to send in. So, we welcome them. We're here. However, you need to use us, we make ourselves available to you. And a special blessing over Dr. Chevelta just for being so pure and honest and sharing her story and allowing that to be the catalyst to everything that is getting ready to happen. Yes, the power in her story that you have blessed her with. So, God, we thank you so much. We love you in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Be,
Amen.
be safe, whatever you guys decide to do on this journey today. Okay. We'll see you next Tuesday on Pink Battalion. The takeover is in effect. Have a great day. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.